think we are live now. Hey guys, welcome back to. I'm just gonna go with it. I think we're good. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I'm really excited about my guest today. We have with us the amazing Brian Tseng from the Full Disclosure Now movement. He was last 2 years now. He's thrown the Full Disclosure Now conference, which I was happy to be a part of, and it really was it was life changing for me, to unite with Soul Tribe. And it's not just the conference that Brian's doing, he's really, trying to start a movement, and bring together full disclosure. When we say full disclosure, that means disclosure from these black ops programs that, we talk about in this. And I know you want to introduce yourself. So welcome, Brian. Thank you so much for coming back on. And how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back, Rob. We've been in the middle of a lot of changes, and we're still on track to launch our new center in Sedona. It's going to be a healing and research center for the movement. And also launching the Full Disclosure Network. We've had a few setbacks in the last couple of months that have stalled us, but there are rumors that, the platform's not going to happen and we're not going to be doing the center in Sedona. And those are all lies by people who do not want to see us succeed for whatever reasons. But I've been an organizer about the last 3 years now in what we call the Full Disclosure Movement. And before that, I have about 20 plus years of medical organizing and advocacy experience. 5 of them in particular were full-time in San Francisco, working with doctors to keep hospitals open and fight medical denials by government contractors and insurance companies. And I've taken a lot of those skills also in sales and marketing and the things I've learned from my own father, who was a very successful businessman. And I've been applying those resources and the organizing in earnest for the last 3 years to Full Disclosure.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, and I kind of wanted to go over this with you. You said there's people out there that don't want to see you succeed, and I absolutely 120% believe that. Besides the targeting that we have to deal with, whether that's coming from an extraterrestrial species or the government, we have problems in our own community, and I'm sure you could speak on this. I mean, I think there's been times where people have turned me in and gotten me demonetized, gotten me kicked off platforms, and I don't have proof, but it seems like it's like the people that you would think that you could trust the most that are in our community want to backstab, and they want to see us not successful. And that's not the way it should be. I think we should try to help each other. I think we should promote each other. Like if someone has a smaller podcast, I try to reach out to help that person. Like if they need help, anything, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but I think that's how I'm not saying I'm an angel. I'm not an angel by any means, but but I try to help people is what I'm saying. I think we all should be doing that for each other. So when you say that there's people out there that you feel like don't want you to succeed, I absolutely believe that. And I don't know why that is, it's a little bit crazy.
There are many reasons. Just because we're all in the same community doesn't mean we're all pulling together in the same direction. Doesn't mean we're all, ethical people who are going to act in integrity only. And so, some of the people include people who have been in the program. So in that respect, they are real, but unfortunately they haven't been able to break out of the programming and the mind control. And so when they get hit with voice to skull commands to be antagonistic to everyone else in the community, often, they listen to those voices and they take it out on people in our community. We have famous examples of this. There's a gentleman named Jesse Balk who, for years he's been physically, threatening people with physical violence online. Nothing was ever done about him. And then he finally, on a social media post, threatened his local police department. I think it was in Dearborn or somewhere like that, Michigan, and they arrested him. So that's documented. There are other people who, for example, my good friend Sarah R. Adams, there's a scam artist, I'll say his name here on air, Tajinder Gill, who used to be her business manager and web admin, who literally took control of her website and bank account, stole over $100,000 from her, and has been defrauding people by selling consults with Sarah R. Adams. He collects the money, but then she no-shows because she never knew about it. And then he says to the person who he ripped off, essentially, oh, Sarah, she went crazy. I don't know. I'm so sorry. She's a fraud. My bad. Nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And then there are people in the community who, I did a drunk call to this guy and said, you MFer, how could you do this to my friend Sarah? I'm gonna, hire people to bring you to the law, basically private investigators, because he's in the UK. He put on like the last 5 minutes of our conversation and claims that Sarah, my good friend, is trying to putting me up to kill him. And it's like, no, I'm calling this scam artist and saying you can't, just rip people off with impunity. And then
Yeah,
there are other
I don't
there.
think you'd be dumb enough to murder someone or conspire to murder someone. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
I don't. I
what
don't have
these
to.
people think this is,
I'm a disclosure organizer advocate. I'd rather use the long arm of the law. Um, get it all done out in the sunlight properly. Um, have this person brought to justice. Then there are other people where, for whatever reason, they're jealous of me or Sarah or other people we're working with, um, and they don't want us to succeed for those reasons. And petty jealousy in a movement which is trying to liberate humanity in the earth, it's really dark. It's really evil, and it just goes to show that, yeah, as wonderful and noble as our cause is, it doesn't automatically make everyone involved at that level of integrity.
yeah, yeah. And you mentioned that you want to open up a healing center. Like, would you think you'll be able to address some of the issues that like a lot of the people in our community go through, like targeting, for example? Like that seems to be a big one. Like, whether it's by entities, or whatever's going on. Like, are you trying to? I mean, what areas of healing are you going to try to focus on?
So we're going to call it the Starseed Education, Activation, and Research Center for Humanity. So that spells out SEARCH, search. Okay. And the idea is we've got a conference center there in Sedona we're going to have access to, and housing, a nice log cabin, a couple casitas for people to come stay at during their visits. And at the center, in addition to throwing the conferences and events, we want to have an ongoing day-to-day healing center where we're going to have the most advanced healing modalities, a lot of frequency and sound and light healing, combined with people who are, we'll find the best type of QHHT, quantum healing, hypnosis technique practitioners that we can, and make it into a retreat where people in our community can come stay for 5 days or a week or however long, get access to these modalities, spending time with each other. We're going to interview people and interview them on as they leave, on the intake and the outgo, and see how we can link them up with resources and connections and opportunities and get their testimonies out and give them healing and great time together and camaraderie and hiking and meditations, and time at the creek. Some of the property there in Sedona is literally right there on Oak Creek. So we have literally water access and lots of parking, which in Sedona is amazing. And we hope that in this way, this will continue to further strengthen the community by building those bonds, and networking people, so that if people, they need help finding work or housing, or they want to get their testimony out and they lack the technical abilities, we can link people up to assist one another. And in doing so, that's going to strengthen us as a whole and help to overcome the censorship, the shadow banning, the targeting, and all of that.
That's amazing. I think that's beautiful. And then to back that up, you're going to also start the network as well. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's going to be an online networking platform where all of our content, will be on there, and then we're going to be doing ongoing live content starting with each night of the week, and then we want to fill out from the evenings. We want to fill in an afternoon show, and we'll probably after that fill in a morning show. So we'll have 3 shows a day each day of the week, 7 days a week, to become a live platform as we bring on various content creators. As we've discussed uh, previously, Rob, we'd love to have for you to have. Which slot did you want? I forget. Was it the
I mean,
Thursday night
I'd
or?
probably stick with what I do it now, like evening. Like I like
Yeah,
evenings,
yeah.
or
We'll give you
however.
exactly. So you'll get at least one of the evening slots, and give you a 1.5 or 2 hour show on the slot, and then we'll compensate all of our creators because we're going to have a lot of freemium content, but then we're going to have a very low, reasonable paywall. And then off of that, we're going to be able to pay out to our creators. And we're going to combine our platform with tokenization and a cryptocurrency. The idea being that as the platform grows and the content grows, so does the value. And as the size of the community and the number of sponsors and the size of the events we do, with that, the cryptocurrency will grow, and we hope that that'll help to enrich everyone in the movement as well. So we're going to be launching the first movement crypto coin, as far as I can tell.
Wow, is that like an NFT or is that just its own cryptocurrency, like a XRP or something like that?
It'll be its own cryptocurrency, but then it'll be linked to things like NFTs, um, and you know value through the platform. Like you can win gifts and prizes. Like if you say subscribe to our platform, normally we'll charge you say $11.11 a month, but if you do it through our crypto, it'll be $7.77 a month. So now people get a discount on a real value, our platform and content, and then it'll also enrich the cryptocurrency and build from there.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And then what about the Full Disclosure Now conference? Like what are your plans with that? Like I mean because I loved it the last 2 years. Like I had a blast like every year it's been great, like I've always told people it's like really like it's like uniting with Soul Tribe, you know what I mean? And I think people have to experience it. And I feel like you've kind of like I don't know, like, yeah, you've built the, yeah, that's what it seems like. It's just like uniting with Soul Tribe. Like, are you gonna continue to do the conference every year? And like, what are your kind of plans with that, or what would you like to see happen?
So we are going to do a third year at least in Florida at St. Pete Beach at the Serrata Beach Resort, as we have these previous last 2 years. We've built up a lot of community over these last 2 conferences. A lot of people have been on your show who they never known about you, and vice versa. And I've seen a lot of people go on other shows that they wouldn't have been on, probably if not for people meeting face to face at our last 2 conferences, and all the follow up. Off the first conference, we literally had Sean Bond and Isha Ardsleeb go to Mexico to excavate these Huejelos type artifacts um, in Mexico. And they
Those are amazing.
uncovered some amazing finds, which they since shared with everybody. And so we've already borne a lot of fruit. And it's only going to grow next year because these last 2 years we've been doing everything out of my own pocket, and really, kind of, it wasn't a small budget by any means, $150,000 each conference at least, but you know, on a lot of things we did shoestring, like our live stream broadcasts and recordings, we could do a lot better. But, when you don't have much of a budget, there's only so much you can do. This next year, the third year of the conference, the Full Disclosure Now conference series, I expect to have a much larger budget, a much more fleshed out team, a much bigger platform to broadcast it on. Um, and, and, and so I expect even bigger gains to get out further into the community, because so far we've had 2 conferences of like, it's like an insiders conference of all the people who really know what's up. Last 2 years we have to spread out beyond that to bring in more of the normies who aren't already knee deep in this stuff for however many years.
I agree. And do you feel like it's going to be easier for whistleblower transparency as we do you feel like we're coming into an age of actual full disclosure? And when I say full disclosure, it's kind of like, what I mean, like everything we talk about, like the MyLabs, the SSP, the targeting, the SRA, the secret super soldiers. Like, do you see that becoming more of a mainstream thing to discuss?
Absolutely. The more the general public becomes aware of terminology like SS secret space programs and military abductees, and they're speaking the lingo with familiarity, that's when we know we're doing our job. And that's what the other side, that's why they've launched Project Oblivion, to attack so many of us in the community, because you know they've said it outright themselves, at least via Olivia James during a clairvoyant remote viewing targeting session on our handlers, that we're making too much headway with the public, and it's starting to literally interfere with their programs. And I'll give you an example. You've had David Purcell on here,
Yeah.
and he's part of the secret space programs, and he learned, probably, I think he said, listening to a podcast that Arkeem Ra did, where Arkeem was talking, where someone was talking about calling back their altars, and David Purcell put that practice in. He's been apparently calling back his altars, and it's basically deep, his clones that he has out there in space, when he calls back the altar, that clone falls down lifeless. So they're basically losing their troops out there in these programs, these nefarious dark programs for the most part, as people in our community call back their altars, and they wouldn't have known to do that unless they watch shows like this. Like, that's having a real effect. It's having a real effect to the point that they tried to retaliate against David Purcell and appear to him at night and astrally attack him and so on.
Holy shit, man. It's so it's getting real. It's getting really like it's a war. It's almost like it's a spiritual war, and it's like I guess it's a war for disclosure. Was that what you'd say?
It's all spiritual warfare, and then disclosure is the battlefront, because everything else is secondary. The reason why our food is poisoned is because of literally our Anunnaki, Draco ET overlords and the Khazarian mafia, who are their puppets. If not for them, we wouldn't be in any of this mess. We'd have a very, very different world, a very different timeline, and that's what we're seeking to achieve now, is to free ourselves so that we don't have to continue down the same transhumanism road.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think about like people who might be they might be using as targets like how do I say this? Like people that are being used to that are being hit with V2K and they don't recognize it and they might be acting out on other people and stuff like that. How do we get those people knowing that they're being targeted and help? It's a
So
good question.
in my experience, the people who are being targeted, it's like we're all being targeted, but the people who the targeting seems to work on are the people who still have a lot of spiritual and emotional work to do. Okay, the people who have been through a lot of these programs, and they are suffering the trauma and the effects, and they haven't resolved a lot of the contradictions and distortions. They haven't dealt with a lot of the pain and the anger. They haven't realized that they're not the only ones suffering, and they need to reach out to others. And so they're still so focused on themselves. A lot of those people, when they get hit with things like voice to skull or telepathy or synthetic telepathy, I think they're more prone, they're more vulnerable to the attack. People who are very spiritually and emotionally strong, if you get hit with voice to skull telling you to freak out and go after all your friends in the community publicly, you're going to say, "What? Where's that thought coming from?" No, forget it. Meanwhile, um, there's a member in our community, a beautiful gal, who may have been trauma bonded to Drago Reed during the Montauk Project or in the program somewhere. And like a year ago or so, she was getting voices in her head. She was getting voice to skull attacks, basically throughout over the course of a weekend. She told me, um, telling her, Drago's evil. Drago destroyed your life. You need to expose Drago before he hurts other people, whatever. And over the course of a weekend, she's telling this voice, no, I'm not going to do that. Go away. I love Drago. Drago's my friend. Forget you. Go away. And, she said that on like that Sunday, when she told it finally the voices stopped, she got online and 15 minutes, half an hour later, she goes online and there's this huge rant by this person named Ash Bray, okay, who is writing about how Drago Reed and his podcast co-host at the time, Laura Eisenhower, a great friend of all of us, how they're horrible, terrible people and they're human traffickers and they're handlers and blah, blah, blah. And what that tells us is that, yeah, a lot of people get hit with voice to skull. Some people are strong enough to fend it off, and then other people, um, they're not as strong, and then they will listen to what the voices tell them to do. And those people invariably tend to be the ones who have the most wounds that they need to heal.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So do we think we could get them like? Do you think like do you think we should have like counselors like within the community? Do you think that'd be a good idea? And I guess we do. We have QHHT therapists and stuff like that, and like I guess we got to just do better like directing people to the right people and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this is a big issue. There's no mental health, especially standardization for survivors or experiencers of these projects because, in the general realm of mental health, none of this phenomena is being acknowledged as real. So then they invariably treat this phenomenon as if it's illusory, it's a mental health issue, and then they're just putting people on 14-day psychiatric holds against their will and force medicating them, with or without their consent. And it doesn't help anyone to end up in a straitjacket. So that's a big reason why we're doing our institute. We want to standardize the best practices, but we don't want to claim to be a catch-all. We just want to offer the best that we can, knowing that there's so little out there, and share with the community the best practices of what we find does work and warn people away from what we found doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, and guys, we'll open up the lines here in a little bit. Let me see if I have the banner that I can throw up. And but for right now, like while I before I open up the lines, and this is the number to call in. I'll put when we start to call. That's the number 573-877-7637 if you're inside the U.S. and then outside the U.S. It's that bunch of numbers. But like we can take some calls from the chat, right? I mean, we can take some questions from the chat right now. If any of you guys have a question for Brian that you'd like to ask, it might be easier to do it that way. But yeah, let me think here. What about, let me see here. Well, let me ask you this. Is there anything you wanted to cover that we might have not covered?
Yeah. I want to talk about how some of the people in our community, like myself and Sarah, we've been under attack. They're literally people who've been casting black magic against us, apparently.
Wow.
And I want to share this. Like Sarah, our Adam's like good friend. She does a lot of spiritual protection, psychic defense, and she got a bunch of these candles. Like these are like protection type candles, for blessings and prayer. And about like 6 or 8 of the 10 or so that she lit for me, they broke where the glass like shattered. And then she lit other candles for herself and other people, and they didn't do that. And what she was told by the Latinas, the gals that sold these candles to her for protection and positive magic, is that if they break, that's a sign that they're doing work countering, right, the black magic. and and so to have like 6 to 8 of the candles, like literally the glass break and shatter, one piece got chucked across the room. Um, that she said she's never seen that before. And then we know, that there are people in our community who they'll literally hire like witches on Etsy to cast
Yeah,
black
it's a
magic
big thing
against
now.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's messed up. And I want to speak a bit about magic and prayer and protection and curses. Um, the other side, because evil, darkness cannot create. Only the light can create. They can only steal, kill, destroy. And so in casting black magic, they need to have like, a cattail and eye of the newt and draw a pentagram in the ground and sacrifice a chicken. And, you know, people who are on the side of God's source, we don't need to do that shit. We don't need to sacrifice anything. I mean, it's not bad to use sage or to light a candle if you're on the side of light for protection, but all we need is is to walk with God, and God will figure out the rest and will clear a path for us. And in the long run, those who cast black magic against people, not only does the black magic, it might hurt the target temporarily, but in general, in the long run, that person will recover and become stronger for it. And the person casting the black magic, because of karma, not they'll suffer. Usually, it's 3 times, if not more.
10
Um,
times. I was just going to say that. I was going to say that for all you people messing around with black magic out there, an old rule of witchcraft is if you go against something and you're not justified, which means if it's not justified and you're doing it pure out of malice, that can come back on you times 10, and it usually does karmically. It will come back on you. Like I know this because I used to mess around with sigils and stuff back in the day, and I used to like study that stuff. Like I don't do it at, I like I said, I'm more about the light and like being normal and good and stuff. You know what I mean? I need to
yeah,
mess with that. You
like
know
I
what I
dr- like we draw a distinction here. Here, the Andromedan is commenting, witches are cool, but they being misunderstood by the evil cabal religions. And I'll say, well, positive witches are cool. White
mean? Yeah,
witches, earth magic witches, they're great. Dark witches are not cool. I
yeah.
don't. I don't think people who, and generally, work with demons and sacrifice, living things. I'm not cool with that. And so, that's my distinction. It's not witches are cool, period. It's, cool witches are cool and evil witches are evil.
And I was going to say, anybody that you can hire, if you can hire someone to do an evil bidding for you, that person can't be a good person to literally take out negative intentions on someone else, whether they don't even know if it's justified or not. So like, you know what I mean? Like when you're
Well, they
doing
don't
shit like
care.
that, it's like you don't know
People,
what you're getting yourself into. That is so horrible. It's like it really is. Like that's just like the lowest of the low. Like
people who practice that type of dark magic and demonology, they don't care. They don't think about it in those terms. Apparently, one of the people, hired out on Etsy, they put their shingle out for casting spells. Was like a killer who got out of prison and they're
what?
for hire. Yeah, you get these.
Holy shit, man! That's
Well,
insane.
there's a whole lot realm of occult in prisons and in the gangs, because a lot of them worship, they practice voodoo or Santeria. They worship like Mother Death.
Yeah.
They believe it makes them bulletproof or stab proof if they sacrifice cats and chickens and people. And they do these deals, and it's very dark.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of Gangland. I remember like some of those like El Salvadorian gangs and like this doesn't have anything to do with our community. This is just something I saw. Like some of those like that South American gangs, they'll use like the Mother Death, like you said, and like Santa Muerte and like all that shit. Like it's like that's some evil shit, man. I tell people honestly, I would really tread lightly with that shit because that is like a world that you don't want to go down. It can really mess you up. It can come back on people bad. You know what I mean? It can really mess people up like really bad, like,
Well,
I don't know, like it,
you can't trust demons. They'll tell you you're bulletproof, and maybe they'll be bulletproof for a while, and then that one night you won't be, and oh, the demon said I'd be bulletproof. Well, the demon lied. There was that very famous, I think it was like Russian, or he was in the Soviet Union. It's like in the 50s. They have black and white footage of this gentleman. He could stick swords in himself, literally, just like a shish kebab, no issues. And he said that the demons or the genie told him that he was um, impervious to the blades. And then one day he swallowed a razor blade and then he died. This is after years of going, all over the Soviet Union demonstrating that he's a human pincushion. And then he swallows the razor blade. The demon said it was okay, and that was painful death, I suppose. But you
wow.
can't trust the darkness. Don't ever trust the darkness. Doesn't matter what it promises you. Doesn't matter how much you want it. Just that's the spiritual battle.
Yeah, yeah. And do you feel like that's on a side note? But do you think that's why we came to this earth? Do you buy into the prison planet like theory that like we're that this is a contained system by the reptilians or whatever, and they're looshing off us? Or do you believe that this is a Earth school? We're here to learn lessons, or do you think it's a mix of both? Or
It's like yeah, I'm the combination side of it. It's supposed to have been a school and a paradise. It got hijacked and turned into a prison, and now we're here now to tear down the prison and to reset it because it's a system that it's gone too far out of whack and needs to be brought back into balance, and that doesn't happen on its own. So that's why we're here.
yeah,
We're here
yeah.
to restore the school, reform the prison and turn it into a playground.
Hell yeah. This one's from Emma the Cat and Friends. It's a question. She says, "Do you think that a lot of scammers cast spells?" I question this because I don't understand how people fall for these scams if not for being under a spell. She says.
Uh, um, you know, Generally the biggest spell that scammers, or the magic that is behind the scam is greed, you know, or desire or lust, right? The physical scams is get rich quick schemes. Give me your money and I'll double it by tomorrow. Or a beautiful goddess who is like a supermodel, you know um, ready to fall off the cover of a Maxim magazine or whatever, but of course they want to date you because they've got no one else to date, right? So it's the too good to be true, but it's always they're dangling a shiny carrot. And you know you've lost a spiritual war if you want that carrot so bad, you're willing to risk it being a scammer. You should just know that over 9 out of 10 times it's a scam. Why bother? And that's a spiritual education in itself.
Yeah. This is a comment from Erin Elizabeth. I know you know Erin. She just says, I don't even want to fucking be here anymore. I wish I could exit this world stage. They will stop not fucking with me no matter what. How hard I'm trying to transmute all the pain. I'm trying so hard, she says. No, I
Yeah.
wish you luck, Erin. It's hard. It really is. It's I think we're all going through something right now. I really do. I think that that's something I was gonna say, Brian. It seems like the energy's off too. It seems like a lot of people, a lot of stuff's coming up for a lot of people right now. A lot of people are experiencing not just energetic attacks, but just like things going wrong in their life. You know what I mean? I don't know if you're experiencing like people around you are experiencing that too, or what you see. Do you feel like the energy's a little bit off too?
Yeah. So this is definitely a very heavy time. It feels like maybe the dark was using the recent Aries moon waning to cast a lot of magic and spells against us. And they um in terms of the actually, sorry, my baby girl is just woke up. I have to call my buddy
It's
to come
okay.
take care of her for the show. And then what was your question again, Rob?
Oh, it was okay. Go ahead. Do what you need to do. I'll just talk to the audience for a second. We'll be good. We'll be good.
Okay, I was getting a babysitter buddy over here.
Okay. Okay. How's everybody doing tonight? I see Crystal's in the audience, Melly, Nikki Jacobs, Aaron Elizabeth, Bryson's Folly, Michelle Petros, Matthew Mornian, Anchor Haven, Wes 997 from Rumble. Good, thanks for watching on Rumble. Urso from Brian's channel. Thanks you guys all for tuning in. I'm glad you guys are our Cat L. We got a big audience tonight. Andromedan, pushing buttons. I'm glad to see all you guys. I hope everybody's having a good night and everybody's I hope everybody's doing pretty well out there. As good as everybody can be, right? It's tough out there. We'll do call-ins here, and we'll do call-ins here in a little bit, guys. Thanks, Jason, for sharing the number. Yeah, we're gonna.
And I was talking about black magic. Yeah, they were casting black magic spells, and so you're asking a lot of people have been under attack, and a big part of that, I think they were using, apparently black magicians, they use waning full moons to cast a lot of their spells. That's when they're most powerful. And the other thing is that in terms of the attacks, right now, this is a time when all the darkness is being revealed. All the contradictions are coming to light. So it can't be hidden anymore. I think this is as basically, we're on the very end of the 8th spiral arm around the Milky Way as it rotates around the galactic center. And apparently as it's rotating around the galactic center, our solar system and that whole arm tip is coming into a portion of space that is more energetically charged. There's a lot more cosmic energy blasting through. And as more energy blasts through, we're becoming more energized. A lot of the things that were hiding in the dark are being revealed. A lot of the lower energies are now being pulsed with higher energies. And for any of this to become resolved, it all has to be revealed. And when things get revealed, that's when the contradictions start to emerge and come to play. And so I think for a lot of people, we've had contradictions in our lives this whole time, but it's recently with all the economic downturn and all the huge, the weather warfare and the biological warfare and the cultural socioeconomic warfare, people are being forced to deal with contradictions and distortions that heretofore we were able to ignore. They weren't as strong or as in our face, but now that it's all in our face all at once and we're suffering from all the problems and contradictions at once, it's a very heavy time. And then people are like, oh, I feel like I'm under attack. Well, whether you're under attack directly, like it's targeted or not, the world is such a shit show right now that you're bound to run into static and friction no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I was saying, I thought that was amazing that you said that about the Galactic Center, and because I used to follow this guy. He died. His name was Gerald Clark. I used to follow him back in like 2018. He wrote the books, The Anunnaki Nibiru and the Seventh Planet Mercury Rising. I was a huge fan of his, but he was saying something similar, Brian. He was saying that like where we were positioned in like the Galactic Center of the Milky Way, and he thought that like that was exactly like you said, that it was it was energetically charged and it was going to send energy on the planet. And he thought that like humans could possibly evolve to like the next stage of like whatever that is, like it was, he thought it could be a big thing for humanity,
Well, it's definitely driving evolution of humanity. It's apparently helping us to activate DNA that was heretofore not active. And this is why a lot of people's psychic abilities are coming more and more online. Memories of past lives and things like that. A lot of people seem to remark it was around 2007, 2011, and later that a lot of people really started to wake up. And so there's a thing to people, they're waking up to it and then they're being able to take action. And I think that up to now, we had to go through a lot of the people who we thought who were our friends, but they weren't. We had to find out the hard way in so many situations so that we could learn from them. And then now we're going to get to move on from here. It's always been a numbers game where like 8 out of 10 people probably you're going to run into, it's just not going to work out with them whatsoever. Well, I'm hoping that maybe as we progress here, 3 out of 10 people you'll get to work out with instead of 2 out of 10. And a lot of the con artists and snakes out there, as they're being revealed, they're losing power. Um, we're also going to run into more trustworthy people because people know, oh, don't work with that person. We already know that they cheated this person here, 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 and there, and that will all be revealed. You can't hide that anymore behind lies and innuendo.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I agree with you totally. It feels like some people that come into our life, we feel like they're meant to be there for some reason. And you could even feel like you love that person or something like that. But then you realize that, like, for whatever reason, it's just not meant to be. Like, and that can just happen with friends too, or like colleagues or, yeah, it's like, it seems to be more prevalent nowadays too, though. That's interesting. I don't know why that is. Do you think it's the energy thing or like, yeah or no?
Well, yeah, with just everything's being revealed. So it's like, you know, you could have had a mask on in the community for a number of years, but now, word is getting around, the truth gets out. Doesn't matter how good your mask was. What matters is how you've conducted yourself in the community. And that's where the masks are falling and the track records speak for themselves.
Yeah, this one's from Melly. This is a great comment. She says you'll soon see who has gifts and uses them for the greater good. I think so. I think that's a good point. You know.
People are
I
using
think
them in our community. People are using those gifts right now. They're sending healing to each other. They're doing psychic protection for people. They're clearing people of implants. They're helping each other to recover memories. They're helping each other with housing and resources and all sorts of stuff.
Dude,
But
I just
yeah,
wanted to show you Ida. I put her up on the screen. Ida's in the chat. Like, dude, I love Ida. Like, she's been on my show, but honestly, like, I really got to know her these last 2 years at the conference. And like, man, you picked a great partner or, a work associate to have, man. She's always on it every year at the conference. And man, I told her I had an issue with like towels because remember me and Gina went a couple days earlier or whatever, and I was having issues. She got on it right away. The next day there were like anything you need, like Ida is on it, and she's amazing, man. I just want to give a big shout out to Ida. I love that lady. She's awesome.
yeah,
Like,
she's my executive co-producer for the Full Disclosure Conference series.
yeah,
Yep.
she's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here. I was seeing other comments. And then we can take calls. I got to log into the thing. It only takes me a second. Let me see here. Do you want me to? Should we try to take some calls?
Yeah, to take some calls.
Okay, let me call in real quick. It only take me 2 seconds. I just got to call. Okay, let me start the show as host. But what else is going on? I mean, oh, it said error. What's the error? I'll do it. I'll just start it again.
Well, no, James
show.
Rink just did his Super Soldier Activation Conference in Florida, Orlando. And then right now, our good friend Rion Derouen of teamlight.com, he's throwing an event right now in Dallas, Texas. And I believe the mayor, he said, is going to appear there.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. That's the bridge, right? It's called the bridge?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Thank you for calling Call-In Studios host and call screener line. Please enter your show or meeting number and press pound. Enter your 6-digit PIN number. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-In Studio web interface. Okay, so the lines are open, guys. You guys can call in and talk to Brian about anything. And the phone, let me put the number up again. This will be fun. And don't prank, guys. Don't prank, honestly, like that. Don't ruin the show. Like
that's all right. If you prank, we just hang up on you. Not a big deal. If you prank, we just hang up on you. Automatically.
573-8. There's a way I can screen it, Brian, but I haven't figured that out yet. Like I haven't. I mean, I haven't. I just started messing with this system. It's cool. It's called Call-In Studio. they don't sponsor me or anything, but like anybody can use it, and I just have it rigged to where I have the phone next to my speaker. Like, like Coley gave me an audio interface, but I never hooked it up yet because I didn't bring the wire. I didn't get the wires, but I got to do that. But no, but I love it. I've done about 3 or 4 call-in shows so far, and they go pretty good. It usually takes like 1 or 2 to break the ice, but then once they start coming in,
we have a
really
question
fun.
here in the audience. Emma the cat and friends. She's asking, what are the top 2 to 3 signs that someone is under mind control? A big one is when they've got these crazy, wild ideas that seem to come out of nowhere, and they don't have a past history of, say, schizophrenia. People saying this weird, really weird stuff. That's a big one. I've run into people in their community where, they were probably in the programs and they were shown maybe either through time travel or through a chronovisor. They're shown a timeline where they get to become president. And then now they're running around the here and now claiming that they're going to be president in whatever year that they were shown that they were going to become president. And I think that's a huge form of mind control, because there are a lot of people who it seems like they've got this Messiah type programming, but I'm one to criticize Messiah programming. Right here, I am trying to like make a difference, but what I'm trying to say is like those of us out here in the field trying to make a difference by doing the work, getting out testimonies, running shows and conferences and supporting people in the day-to-day work, that's one thing. People who come up with these grand ideas of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they're meanwhile, living in their basement and they're not doing or manifesting anything but talk. Okay, that's usually your sign. That's a good sign, because a lot of people who are being mind controlled, they've got a lot of these strange ideations of being so grandiose. I'm the Archangel Michael, or I'm Alexander the Great, and I've run into a lot of that. So those are some of the signs of mind control.
Yeah,
you
we
can
got a couple of calls here.
Oh, good.
Hello, you're live on the air with Typical Skeptic Podcast and Brian Tseng. Who is this?
Hi, it's Leatrice. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Leatrice.
I got you on your show a couple weeks ago and sent you the information on the gallstones, safe gallstone, and the butyrate for the gallbladder to help with your podcast. And I'm wondering if you got it, because I have a way of having my emails not delivered. So I'm wondering, it says Leatrice in the subject heading. I wanted to make sure you got it. Plus, a little funny conversation with Art Bell, the recording of it. But do you know if you got it?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I haven't been good with checking my email, but I did get that. So thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's you're touching on
a really great EMF solutions guy in Sedona. Being that you're going to Sedona, it's called Total EMF Solutions, and Paul Harding is the main consultant there. Really into what he was doing. He was featured in that documentary called Take Back Your Power, which is all about smart meters and EMF. And he says that Sedona, being that it's very high in iron, and because they're putting all the power lines are in the ground, that it's really important to check out your proper grounding and earthing. Barefoot is not so great anymore in the area. But anyway, he's really, really good about totally checking out, mitigating everything related to properties. And I thought, wow, maybe you'd want to know about him, being that you're setting up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a wellness director for the institute, and that person, would be the type of person to link Paul Harding up with. We're going to be basically doing a scan of all the different modalities out there, and then we want to find the most effective. And we also want to screen out some of these modalities. They claim to be effective. Not only are they not effective, some of them, they might be out of phase. Their frequency might be off, and they could be harmful. And so we want to screen all of that out. In terms of, you mentioned the gallbladder and stuff like that. Another big way to help protect yourself from targeting is to parasite cleanse. I think people who have a lot of parasites in their body seem to be more susceptible to the lower frequencies and energies. And the parasites just biophysiologically and neurologically, for so many reasons, destabilize people, their health and their personalities. So that's another way to protect yourself.
I agree. But Beatrice, did you have any other more comments before we move on to the next caller?
No, I
Or any questions?
Pass this along to this Paul Harding from the Total EMS Solutions, because I think he's the real deal. And that's all I want to say. And hi, everybody. And that's it.
Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right. That was great.
Take care.
That was awesome. Okay, and the next one. Hello, you're live on the air with Brian Tseng and the Typical Skeptic podcast. Who's calling?
Hello?
Hi, this is Robert from the Typical Skeptic podcast. You're on with myself and Brian Tseng. You're live on the air. Who's calling?
Oh, yeah, this is Bryson.
Oh, hey, Bryson. What's up, man? This is Bryson. Brian, I think you know Bryson. He basically runs my Discord group. He was the one who convinced me to start a Discord group, and he's been a long time listener and friend of the show. And he was a moderator for a while, and I think he's just a really good friend. How's it going, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I've been more in the background, just watching, not necessarily commenting or talking to most people during the live sessions that you do with people. But yeah, I don't know. I was just wondering, just last couple weeks have been weird for me. I've been having, I had a seizure weeks ago, and I don't think I'm being targeted or anything. I don't know. I'm not important. No, I'm not important. I'm just another person, living their life. Everybody lives different lives. Everybody's doing their own thing at any time. I just, I don't know. Just like last.
Well, Bryson, let me ask you this question. Is it normal that you had seizures, or is that like a one-off? Like you've never had seizures, and then within the last 2 weeks, you had your first seizure?
No. Actually, I've had less than a handful, but more than 5. If that makes any sense,
Over your life, but you had one recently in the last 2 weeks. Last 6 years.
It was just this one 3 weeks ago. Literally 3 weeks. September 26th or 7th.
Do you know what might have triggered it?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Do you know what? You don't know? Okay. So all I can say is that energies have been really off. The Schumann resonance. Can you hear me? The Schumann resonance has been off the charts. There's still chemtrailing in certain places. There still seems to be a lot of weather warfare. So there could be lots of reasons why people feel off. And I think that those are some of the reasons.
Yeah, I don't know if it could be environmental or if it's something that's coming from my own personal life. But it was just out of the blue pretty much. And next thing you know, I'm going to the emergency room kind of thing.
That had to be scary.
Seizures are scary. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm not anybody important. I'm not anybody special or anything like that.
That's where you're wrong. We're all important. You're important. You're very important. You know what I mean? We're all important, and we all have a role to play in this disclosure. I'm sure Brian would agree with me on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't have a history like Mr. Sting and like our Team Raw, in that sense. But I don't know. It's just I'm still just trying to get the nerve endings in my tongue to I stick my tongue in water and I can't feel anything in the tip of my tongue. I know it's silly to say, but yeah, this is probably like the 8th or 9th seizure that I've had, and it's happened since I was at least like 8 years old. Like I remember playing baseball and.
You might want to consider a metal parasite detox. You might, Bryson, you might want to consider doing a metal and parasite detox.
Did you hear him, Bryson?
I tried to do a parasite detox, but it caused me to get really, really sleepy. I did like black walnut oil, oregano oil, and some like wormwood. But I don't know.
Try Paragard because I don't think that's Paragard has any of those other ingredients. Paragard might have something else. You can get Paragard off Amazon, and then you can also get ivermectin too, which is a parasite cleanse as well. And you can kind of play with those things. And
I've looked at ivermectin. I've looked into ivermectin, but I just haven't, taken the plunge, like jumped into the deep end kind of thing.
And again, for medical advice.
Exactly. We're not medical. Exactly. We're not specialists on this. So yeah. Now, does anyone have any questions? Throw them my way.
Do you have any questions for Brian, Bryson?
Yeah, I mean, it just we all live different lives. Everybody is going through their own journey, and I just wonder sometimes whether or not the journey itself is about the destination, or if the journey itself is about what happens when we go through it.
It's
because
both.
I know you've lived a completely crazy life compared to mine. I feel like I've lived a very, normal suburban household life. It's the same, and I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering.
We're all meant to walk our individual path, and that's a path that only you are meant to walk, and only you can walk. I'm going to turn on my lights for 1 second.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, Bryson, if you look at the screen, I put this up from Crystal Hall and Sass. She says Parasite Cleanse tincture, $15 from Sprouts Market online. That might be a really safe one to try. That's you guys want to make sure anything you want to do, because we're not giving medical advice and YouTube purpose. You always want to stay safe, so always consult with a doctor or a qualified physician, all that stuff. I have to say that for YouTube purposes, guys. But I mean,
yeah, and I've talked to a bunch of physicians in the last 3 weeks or so. I also have a lump on my chin that the PA said that it's just like an infected saliva gland, so I'm taking antibiotics right now. But I don't know about antibiotics.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean? It's just this is a quick call, just to say hello and
Well, thanks for joining us and being the chat host.
Yeah. Thanks, Bryson, and thanks for calling in. And guys, if you want to call in, and if you have a question for Brian, the number again, and these are two great calls. It's let me put it up again. It's and we can hear from some of our international callers too. I'd love to hear from some of you guys. They did figure it out. So to call in, the number is 573-877-7637. And then if you're outside the U.S., it's 0011 and then 1573-877-7637. And that's on the screen here if you're watching on Twitter or X, or if you're listening on X or whatever. But I was just kind of going through the chat here. Melly says hyperbaric oxygen chambers are amazing. Is there a promise in those, Brian? I know you know about medical stuff. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, apparently hyperoxygenating your body makes it have to work a lot less hard. And so people who sleep in those chambers report positive results. I'm all for it. They're not cheap. If you can afford one, great. Or if you have a facility nearby where you can do that, great. But yeah, I've heard good things, but I'm not a physician.
Yeah. So what's in the immediate? This is my question. While we're waiting for a call or waiting for another question, what's in the immediate future for full disclosure now? Which is it? I guess you're just in the building stages, kind of. And
we're going to relocate down to Sedona, and we're going to rehab the current buildings because they need to have their HVAC replaced. There's some mold issues at the center. Not a big deal. It's pretty common for that area where you have so much air conditioning. so we have to address some of that at the physical center, and we want to establish a production studio there. So get it all set up with computers and editing gear and lots of monitors. And once we get the physical location set up, and I moved from Northern Nevada down to Sedona, then I'll start up my cadence on doing my own podcast show, and then getting the other hosts to host their show, and I can start planning more in earnest for next year's Full Disclosure Now conference, and then building up my team around me. That's kind of where the next couple months are charted out, and then once we have this center fixed up and 100% presentable, then we'll start to throw our events there in Sedona, as well as the big event next July in Florida.
Wow, that's awesome. And this is another live call. Hello, you're live on the air with Brian Tseng from Full Disclosure Now and Typical Skeptic Podcast. Who's calling, please?
Yo, what's up? It's Jason.
Oh, what's up, Jason? Brian, you know Jason. He's one of my moderators. Jason H. He's in a lot of the chats. Yeah, what's going on, man? How are you?
I got two things to announce. I guess Haimi Musan just posted the official decipherings of the Boogosphere, and damn, we were close. We were like really fucking close.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Like when I came on and like did the decipherings of all the glyphs.
Yeah.
They did the same thing.
Wow.
And they came up with like basically the same message.
What? That it's like it's here to.
But,
Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
But yeah, then also I was just wondering what you guys' thoughts on the Age of Disclosure documentary is. That's coming to Amazon Prime finally.
I don't know much about it. Do you, Brian?
I know of it, and friends in the community, I forget who, they're working on it, and I'm 100% for it, and I think it's great. The more efforts like ours getting out to more people in the public, the better.
Yeah.
And then in terms of Jaime, what's that?
Kind of, hardly. Like, it's hard to hear the guests on the call in.
Yeah,
what is... Well, I want to ask you, what did they decipher on the Boogosphere as the glyphs? What did they say the glyphs say?
He
like
said
a lot of like pre-Sumerian. There's a lot of them. There's like 24 different symbols that all have their own different like little meanings, and they kind of go together and they kind of like make a puzzle based on what all those little ones mean. But it was like some like warning or something. I don't know.
Wow.
Okay, because he's referring to the Boogosphere and Jaime Mausman down in Central Latin America, where they've been doing studies with these Boogospheres, and and then also trying to translate the glyphs, the writing on the outside.
Yeah, and Jaime Maussan, he's like the godfather of UFOs down in Mexico, right? He's been doing that for like ages. He used to come on Art Bell and stuff like that back in the day. And let me see here. All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Jason. And
yeah. Cool.
And that was Jason, guys. And let me see here. This is an interesting question. This is from Chief Mustache on Rumble. He says, where do you guys think synchronicities come from? Signs and synchronicities come from? Do you think it's something that's like preordained?
Because it's spiritual warfare, I think that the most important reason why we're each here is to walk our own spiritual path. And so I see signs and synchronicities as basically being kind of highlights and clues for all of us to basically be on our paths. And so when you're seeing a lot of positive synchronicities and things are working out, at least for me, to me, that's a sign that I'm on the right path. And when everything's going wrong, then it makes me think there's something that I'm doing that's off. And so, I try to use signs and synchronicities as guideposts, because, as a lot of people say, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything is meant to be in one way or another. And it's up to us to make things spiritually significant and to act upon them properly. rather than letting synchronicities and signs just come and go without noticing them or acting upon them.
Yeah, I gotta address this comment. Like, it's not that this bothers me, but like, I just say, like, so this guy Jerry Lahane says, I mean, and he's a nice guy, Jerry, but he says you stole Brian.
That's a joke. He's joking. He's joking, and then he says she's
I
great.
just wanted to say, because like Jessica's a really good friend of mine, and me and Brian have been
Yeah,
friends
he's
for, like,
joking.
years
Yeah,
now.
we all love Jessica. Yep. No, that was joking. He's joking.
Okay, sorry. I kind of take things,
Now, Urso Supersov is saying the government uses certain terms that others don't use. For instance, transparency. When the government uses this term, it means unobstructed view or access to. People keep asking for disclosure. So this is a deal. The government can't ever really be transparent unless the government is willing to totally reform itself. Because too many people in the government are party to the criminal actions in these programs. So there's no way you're going to get what we call a top-down change. What is this all bottom up? It's all of us, the masses, forcing the governments and corporations and militaries to do the right thing because they are so exposed they can't do anything but do the right thing. And so, they'll use terminology like transparency, but just because they use a term transparency doesn't mean they're transparent. They're not. Nothing about what they've been doing is transparent because there's so much until they're talking about secret space programs, time travel, ritual abuse, MK Ultra, mind control, all of that stuff, then they're not being transparent. There's no transparency unless you're talking about the biggest elephants in the room.
They barely even touch on alien abductions. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Did you hear about that? I just wanted to get your opinion on this. Did you hear if they had a UFO? I heard so. I didn't watch the UFO hearing recently, but I heard one of the things they addressed was that I guess they fired a missile at a UAP and it bounced right off it or something like that. And I was like, that just shows like the government. I mean, I don't know if those were hostiles or if they were friendlies, but like, if you don't know, why are you firing a missile at them? You know what I mean? Like, if these things aren't bothering us, like, why are we firing? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it sends the wrong impression, I think, as far as like, but then again, that's not us, that's our government. But hopefully the aliens know between us and the government, which I think they do because they talk to experiencers.
Well, there's so many different ETs coming here for so many different reasons. It's really hard to say. You've got ships in our skies that are apparently part of the secret space program. Those are the ones that have been darting back and forth this whole time. And people are only now able to see them because they're using high-speed infrared photography and thermal imaging. Then you've got the craft that are just blatantly in our skies, basically hovering there just to let us know that they're there and they're not threatening. And so these are very different groups. And apparently people in the secret space programs are shooting down some of the neutral and positive craft to try to take their technology. Wow. And so it's hard to say if that craft was being fired on just because the pilot, wanted to take a shot or was given clearance or, what the situation is there. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a reverse engineered craft, basically meaning it's flown by humans or it's human technology reverse engineered from the ETs and built up. And then they shot at it and then they put that out there in the public as kind of like a breadcrumb. Or if that was truly an ET craft, they shot it and then that footage got leaked. Either way, it's just another demonstration that their technology is far, far superior to ours. And when we understand that, it should make us rethink the whole scenario. Most people, they're thinking, oh, the aliens will come here and we need to shoot them down because otherwise they're wanting to invade our planet. And what that does is that belies the whole understanding that we're all ET hybrids. ETs have been here the whole time. They don't need to invade. They've already invaded. What we need to do is to free ourselves. So it's a very different type of thinking depending on your understanding of what's really going on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, but I think is also really interesting, is the whole censorship thing. And I'll just explain a little bit where I'm going with this first. Like, everybody knows that YouTube's giving back people their channels. Like, and I'm really happy for my friend Laura Eisenhower and my friends from Journey to Truth and Chris Matthew from Forbidden Knowledge News. They all got their channels back, and that's great. But like, what I was saying to everybody was, hey guys, like, I mean, I'm not just saying this because I haven't got my channel back. I'm just saying it because it's the truth. Like, when YouTube was taking everybody off the air, Rumble gave us a place where we could kind of, foster our ideas. And I'm just saying, like, I don't think because we're getting our YouTube channels back that we should give up on Rumble in any sense. And I'm not saying anybody is, but it could become really easy. And I feel like this is a power move by YouTube. Honestly, I feel like they're losing money, and I feel like they want to get money back. And I think that's the only reason why they're letting people have their channels back. And what do you? But I get conspiratorial about it. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think in the higher levels, a lot has been revealed about how YouTube was pressured and worked with and caved in to pressure from the Biden administration to censor essentially COVID content,
Yeah.
and alternative health content, and a lot of stuff on MK Ultra and ritual abuse. A lot of all that stuff has been getting censored and banned. I think that since those revelations have come out, they've come under pressure, probably by the Trump administration, to reverse a lot of the censorship and banning. And so I see this as a sign that they're bowing to pressure to undo a lot of the damage that they've done and to save some face. And it's too little too late. I'm applaud the move. Obviously, it's good that they're doing it, but does this mean like they're our friends and we love them? No, they're just YouTube. What we're on right now, among other platforms, it's just another platform, and it's very wise to diversify. That's why I'm launching my own platform. They can't censor me on my own platform. Otherwise, at best, I can diversify on everyone else's platform. And that's why that's a good move. Even though YouTube gave you your channel, let's say they give you your channel back, the main one, still diversify on Rumble.
Yeah. I'm going to continue because, and I even have a backup on Odyssey as well. And I have my audio podcast, but like, I've had issues with my audio podcast, guys. So, they know, but I'm just saying, like, my audio podcast got demonetized. And then I started with a new company. I'm with Podbean, and the pay's not the same. So it's like, I haven't been very motivated to post audio episodes, but I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that this week. Like, I'm going to get into something. I just don't know what yet. I just, I want to find the right platform, because a lot of people like to listen to the audio show at night. They like to listen to it to go to bed or like to, so I don't know. But I mean, like, let me see what, there's comments here. This is from Euros and Euros. He says, some channels can say what they want. Some channels can say what they want and be promoted by YouTube, like investigates like rape, serial murder, the S word, and is monetized live on every day. Yeah, I agree. He's absolutely right. It does. It's right. It's like they do promote some channels, and then some others they hurt.
So it seems like if you're saying certain things and you have a particular message, you can get targeted. And other people who can talk out the same stuff, but they don't have an overlying message behind it, maybe they get away with certain things. It's hard for me to say why certain people don't get targeted. It's always easy to say why those of us who do get targeted, why we get targeted. It's because we're speaking to the most cutting edge content that is not otherwise being revealed.
Yeah. I agree. And it seems like it seems like it's definitely like, they will. Yeah. Let me see if there are the comments here. And if anybody wants to call in, and this is a weird question. This is from Chief Mustache. He said, so the Vikings had alien abductions. I would say most likely every culture around the planet has had alien contact of some sort.
Not only were they ET abductions, but there were secret space program abductions and time travel. Because in order for the German secret space program to colonize so many worlds and meteors all over space, they needed people. And so Penny Bradley testifies to being in the German secret space program's Dark Fleet, or Nachtwaffen. And what they would literally do is they would time travel back to battlefields of our ancient past, and Viking battlefields, for example. She would fly down from a craft dressed as a Valkyrie, right? Like a winged helmet, the works. Come down on some kind of vehicle to a battlefield, chop the heads off of fallen warriors, grab up the heads by the hair or in a bag or whatever, and then fly back up to the ship, throw the heads in regeneration tanks, regenerate those people, tell them, drop them off on an Earth-like planet somewhere, and tell them, welcome to Valhalla. We want you to sleep with these women, have lots of children, raise lots of cows and other animals and chickens, and chop down lots of these alien trees and homestead. And in doing that, they basically think like running a civilization or a Sim City, simulation, except with real people. And with time travel, you can drop them off, and then you can come back and check on them every year or so many years and drop off supplies. And after a couple hundred years of that, you've got terraformed planets. And so,
wow.
Yeah. And so this is what Penny Bradley, one of her big, amazing, mind-blowing revelations. And it makes perfect sense.
It's genius about the ETs to do that. It really is. Like, I mean, that's actually, like, it's kind of weird, but it's genius. It's like,
well, if you want to colonize other planets, you don't want to use high-tech equipment that needs to be serviced and can break down. You want hardy people who can just work with their hands off the land.
No, that's a good point.
And this is shown in the Rebel Moon series. And I'm like, this is so lame. People milking cows, like, in this like sci-fi movie. Like, actually, but now thinking about it and hearing Penny's explanation, that's why you get like these Norwegian Viking type dudes on this, like, doing farming on these planets, and as shown in the movie.
Yeah. Brian, you just gave me oh my God. I don't know if you ever heard me tell this. I swear to God, this is a real thing though. Like, I've talked about this many times on my show. I might have told you this, but what happens to me is, like, I'll go to sleep for like 5 hours, say 5 hours, 6 hours. And in that 5 hour time, I go to a dream world, right? And in this dream world, it seems like I'm there for like several months. Like, I'm living out like an experience in like the dream world, but it's always like something like real 3D. And one of these experiences is I'm like doing that, like I'm milking cows, building barns. It makes me think, I'm wondering, you just put this thought in my head now.
You could have an altar or soul fragment on a planet far away somewhere playing Old MacDonald, had a farm on, on a planet surrounding Alpha Centauri
or something. I mean, it's crazy to think, but that's so. I mean, but it's crazy, like what they did. The whole real realization is of time, because like it really happens. Like, I'll go to bed and then I'll wake up and it'll only be 5 hours, but it'll feel like I just spent months in this other reality or something. It's really bizarre. It hasn't been happening much lately, but it has happened before. I don't know. Oh, this is a question from Jason. We'll just do one more and we'll get out of here. This is Jason says, what do you think about the theory that V2K is not in this reality? The voices come from I can't read that word.
A shadow world or realm or parallel reality that cultists access. It goes to your consciousness first, then your brain. So I think that most of the voice to skull that people are experiencing probably are handlers in the here and now. Having said that, apparently people like Preston Nichols of the Montauk Project from another timeline has messed with some of us in this timeline. So I don't rule that out as a possibility. But I think that most of our handlers messing with us are here in this timeline. It's just simpler that way. But I wouldn't put it past other realms or beings in other timelines or realms to mess with us. That's possible. Everything is interconnected, so it's possible.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, man. I was going to say, do you want to tell people where they can find you and all that, and how they can follow you and stuff? And dude, this was an amazing show, I think.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah. fulldisclosure.live is the website for the conferences, and we'll be adding content for the platforms as we go, as we develop the platform. And then also fulldisclosure.network. That's my blog that I'm so far behind on, but we're going to soon be featuring some contribution articles from Olivia James, also known as the Gray Mouse, who's an amazing psychic and has a lot of recall from her own times in the programs. And then you can find me directly on Facebook, Brian Tseng, and add Solar Bee when you. That's my kind of my nickname or call sign. It separates me out from all the other Brian Tsengs out there. And message me directly and try to do so if you've got something more action oriented. You know, you have your testimony you want to get out, or you want to participate in the movement somehow. You know, so I'm also every Thursday morning on Agent X11 on Rumble with Penny L.A. Shepherd. She's also a Montauk experiencer. And so, yeah, thank you everyone for being here. And thanks for having me once again on Typical Skeptic Podcast, Rob.
Yeah. And no announcements for me, guys. Just if you can support the show, guys, I would appreciate it. And the links are in the description for that. And follow me on Rumble. And thank you so much, Brian. And thank you. Have a good day, everyone.